Here.
Commissioner Stelter. Commissioner Algado.
Here.
Commissioner Peters. Here. Commissioner Rainer. Here. 4 out of 5 commissioners.
Great, thank you. Because Deputy Director Grunstein has another meeting to go to, if nobody objects, I would like to move item 4 up to now in terms of the reports from the office. Is that okay? All right, hearing no objection, Deputy Director Grunstein.
Chair Kaufman, members of the Commission, Justin Grunstein, Deputy Director, Office of Climate Change, Sustainability and Resiliency. Just have a brief report for you in place of Director Stanbro, who's currently over at a council meeting right now. He sends his apologies for missing today's meeting. That's about where I'm to head over as well. Fortunately, it's good news. I'll get to that in a second, but first things first. Big news, as you should all be aware, the City Council formally adopted Resolution 19-233, which is the Oahu Resilient Strategy. That was, as you all know, a very lengthy process that was undertaken by our office, and we're very thrilled to see support of the Resilient Strategy not only by the Mayor, who of course released that at his State of the City address, but also by the City Council with a unanimous vote. So we can now say it is officially a city initiative or city document, and of course this passes being a guiding document for the City of County Honolulu. So we do hope that all other departments, certainly we will be referring to that in all future things where there is relevance to action items in the Resilient Strategy to make sure that they're tied back to those priorities that are identified there. Similarly, I don't recall if it was announced at the last hearing, but just in case it wasn't, the electoral codes have been adopted. We were very thrilled about that. That was the first of the many updates to our general building codes here at the City of County Honolulu that we also supported. I'm thrilled to see that has been signed into law. Mayor did sign that. Next up, of course, is Bill 25, the energy codes, a little more contentious. It is still in committee. We do expect it will be heard on the second committee hearing at the Committee on Zoning, Planning, and Housing on November 14th. We are hopeful for a positive outcome there. I can say that there are many negotiations continuing to go on. We're trying to work with all stakeholders. We are working with all stakeholders to find as much of a common ground as we can and continue to move the issue forward of having a more energy efficient building code. And then on building codes, the last one, Bill 50, which is the actual building code itself, has been sent down to council. It actually was just on committee hearing just now. I can't tell you what happened because I'm over here, but I do expect it to move along in the process. So we'll keep you up to date on Bill 50 as it proceeds through the process. The only other thing I wanted to add is we do have a new staff person in our office, Lala Nuss, pleased to announce. She's our new Climate Resilience and Equity Manager. She joined our office about a month ago. We're thrilled to have her on board so we can have additional focus for a specific program in our office around particularly equity issues and all the work that we do not only in our office but the city at large. So we're thrilled to have her on board. She, as well as Director Stanbro and myself, will also be departing tomorrow for the annual USDN Urban Sustainability Directors Network annual meeting in Detroit, which the theme of this year's annual meeting is actually community equity. So we're thrilled to have her on board for that meeting. With that, I'd be happy to answer questions.
Any questions? I have a follow-up question on the resiliency strategy.
Sure.
Now that it's been adopted. Do you see a role for us as the Commission in helping support action items or doing, pushing in certain ways?
Certainly. I would encourage the Commission to, if you haven't already, to take a deep dive into the resilience strategy and look at the 44 action items that are identified there. If you think that there are any under either your purview as a Commission or personal interests, maybe that a white paper or just a policy statement would be appropriate to help move it along. We can continue to have the conversation. And so that's, there's some obvious ones there, of course, but there's some probably that aren't so obvious. And we look forward to continuing to have conversations with the Commission about where everyone is.
Other questions or comments? Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Commissioners. Have a great meeting. Sorry, we have to step out for
No, understood.
council meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next agenda item is approval of minutes from July 2nd and May 28th. I admit that I've only reviewed the July 2nd minutes, and I'm wondering, as was, I haven't seen the May 28th ones. I'm looking for when. Sorry. Maybe
Yeah, so
next
we can approve
meeting.
it at the next meeting. So we can approve the July one, but hold off on the May. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good. Does anybody have any amendments to the July 2nd meeting minutes? Can I get a motion to approve? Motion to approve. Second. All in favor? Okay. July 2nd meeting minutes approved, May 28th tabled until we can review them for our next meeting. Next, I'd like to call up our first speaker, Sam Lemo, who is the with DLNR, Office of Coastal Lands, and Sam will be giving us, or having a discussion with us on shoreline management on Oahu, kind of a role between state and what the county can do. This, of course, is in response to the letter we received from the mayor and discussed last commission meeting.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Sam.
Not sure. Letter.
The mayor's letter requesting us to give guidance on shoreline for that.
Good to see Katya here since she's obviously responsible for shoreline management on the island of Oahu. Anyway, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Sam Lemo. I'm the administrator of the Office of Conservation and Coastal Matters in this department. We're sort of like analogous to the city and county Department of Planning and Permitting, but we're on the other side of the fence. We're on the shoreline, going seaward. We regulate all the lands seaward of the shoreline in the state of Hawaii. Generally, the counties regulate the lands south of the shoreline. But because of our concern over the state of our beaches and public access to beaches, which is our primary sort of purpose behind doing what we do, we are keenly interested in what the counties are doing, because what the counties are doing affects our beaches and public access to beaches. And so we've been at the table for many years regarding shoreline management issues. And I'm sure the counties are interested in what we're doing in seaward of the shoreline. That might affect how they treat their property owners and other people. So, but, you know, that being said, we do try to work together to the greatest extent possible. We have great relationships with your county contemporaries on the neighbor island planning departments. We have a good relationship with Katya and her group now. It's always evolving, of course. And so I'll just describe to you briefly what we're doing, and then you can sort of maybe ask me any questions you might have. But we also, we're part of the State Climate Commission. Armin Biddle is the climate coordinator. And the State Climate Commission, like the City Commission, is trying to address issues regarding greenhouse gas reduction, emission reduction, and adaptation. Our primary focus on the mitigation front, and correct me if I'm wrong, on is mostly related to transformation of the ground for public fleet from carbon-based sources of energy to electrification, not only vehicles but the whole energy system transformation. So on the adaptation side, we're very much involved in the sea level rise discussion. We basically wrote the report, 2017 report, which is now sort of forming the basis of some guideline, providing guidance or even policies for some of the county agencies in terms of utilizing our projections for sea level rise throughout the century. There's also a number of recommendations in the sea level rise report that we hope people will look at and utilize. So we do have active discussions with all the counties regarding the sea level rise projections and the so-called sea level rise exposure area. Sea level rise exposure areas for Exxon, which is a hazard overlay involved, including projections and passive flooding projections with sea level rise, and we've combined them into an overall hazard. Feel free to use this data. It's been referenced in a number of proclamations and executive orders around the state. So what we're doing right now, and what I really want to talk about, first of all, but just before I get into that, is I do want to basically characterize the island of Oahu, the situation on the island of Oahu, the state of the state on the island of Oahu. With respect to erosion, the situation is really terrible. Oahu is the most densely populated of the 4 major islands. The coastal areas, the flat coastal plains, were essentially sort of subdivided and developed over the 20th century, still happening into the 21st century. In the urbanized areas like Kaka'ako and Waikiki, we still see lots of development happening in areas, even though we know these areas are going to be vulnerable in the future. So dynamic shoreline processes that we're facing today, and certainly there was no understanding or no recognition of sea level rise occurring back then. And so now that sea level has risen some 8 inches, I think probably more at this point. I think we've gained a couple inches in the past decade, to be honest with you. We just haven't been able to measure it appropriately or properly. So now the coastal areas are seriously in jeopardy. And it's not theoretical. All you have to do is walk out on the beach. I took some of you out there a while ago and look at the erosion happening. The North Shore now is almost fully armored with soft shoreline protection structures, which is kind of astonishing, really, thinking where we were at 3 or 4 years ago, where it was really just sort of unaffected. And there are other areas in the island where erosion